All right, so this is the least fun part of the job, I think. So we're going to be stripping down this harness. There's a couple connectors that we're going to need to get. So the IACV, the AC compressor, TPS, I believe, are what we need to harvest out of this one. And so what we're going to do is we're basically going to locate those connectors, strip it all the way down, and find out where it needs to go, or where it actually goes rather. Once we strip that all down, and the reason why we want to do that is because we actually want to keep the factory wiring intact as much as possible, in the sense that down the line, if I'm not the one that works on the car, someone will at least have something to go with, and that's going to at least be the wire colors. So that's why we're trying to retain all that. Another thing too is that the harness, as you can see from this part, this grommet right here, that's the part that goes inside the car. And so realistically, that wire is already ran. You know, we don't have to do anything but actually strip it out. So we're going to go through, and I'm going to basically start cutting off the sheathing, which I think is, again, the lamest part of the job. Okay, so this is kind of what we're after. This is the FICD and the idle valve. And I've confirmed it by looking. Obviously this connector is the same, but like most Nissan stuff from this era, a lot of connectors are the same. They go to different components, so you always want to verify the colors to make sure that they're right. And so this is one of the plugs that we're after, and we're going to basically just follow it all the way through to where it needs to go and strip it out of the harness. Okay, so I got the wire stripped out. This should be going to the rest of the AC here. I don't know where this brown wire is going, so I got to figure that out. But it seems like the idle air control valve and the AC compressor is hooked up, and here's the wires that are left. And so out of these wires, only 2 of them should be going to the fuel tech. And that should give us idle control. So obviously we're going to have to clean this up here and reroute it, but that's it in a nutshell. Alright, so here it is running. We got the vacuum line hooked up for the fuel tech. The ones that aren't being used are currently capped. Idle air control valve is maxed out though. So that's like all the way out. And the idle's still really low. We haven't set timing though. You know, wideband's still not in it. We still got to cap off this IAV stuff, but we got it running pretty halfway decent. AC works. So that's a huge plus there. So I'm going to call that a win for now. Obviously, even though we're getting there, we're still not all the way there. I've got the IAT and the coolant sensor here, but we got to wait for our fab guy to get back from vacation for him to hook that all up for us as far as physically mounting it. And then we got to get the wideband in as well. So we're definitely getting there. Alright, so we got a few revs out of it and everything was good to go. You guys may or may not remember, but I had to modify the trigger wheel. And when I say modify, I just put a piece of tape on it. So I put some tape to cover 2 of these holes to get the trigger set up to like a 12-1 or 12-2. And it was great. Man, I revved this thing up, 6,000 RPMs, no problem, everything is good. Came back to the idle, and then it started to kind of chug a little bit, and then it just died. I went in and started cranking it up, and then it was dropping RPM signal, and I knew immediately that the tape had came off. So I pulled the distributor off really quick, and the piece of tape was just kind of hanging out in here. So I've already pulled it off and cleaned it up. I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to give this another shot. I'm going to put it back in as is, disconnect the fuel pump, and then I'm just going to try it as is to see if I can get the trigger working again without having to do anything. If that fails, I'm going to basically probably try to solder this up, maybe, you know, hit it with solder and straighten it out on our sander, and then see if we can straighten it up. I don't know if I can or not, but hopefully we can get this thing working. Alright, so we are going to work on wiring up the TPS today. So this car was an 86 manual, and we actually had to get a TPS for an automatic. Now, and here's why. So as you can see, it's pre-wired. I don't know if this is the original harness or what, but the plugs were there. So on the manual cars, they don't have the second connector. So if you've worked on any like Z32s or any S chassis cars, this TPS probably looks familiar to you. Now this is actually for a Z31 Auto, and this right here is actually just a switch. It's just an off-on switch. This is tells the car that whether it's at idle or anything but idle. So we want something that provides us 0 to 5 volt, you know, like a percentage reading, and so that's why we're going to use the automatic. So now there's no reason for us to wire up the switch, so what we're going to do is we're going to just wire this side up. Alrighty, so here is the wire snipped off, and I'll show you why. That's because the harness is pre-wired with this connector. This is a weather pack connector, and we're just, instead of cutting this harness and then joining them together, which we definitely could, I'm just going to wire up a weather pack connector, female side, to this, and then unfortunately it's basically an adapter. This harness is pretty long, so what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to strip these and stick them in so I can find out the wiring order, and then we'll officially make a weather pack connector. Okay, so if you look here, you can see that the TPS is actually reading full volts, even though this is actually closed. So you can, I'm gonna try to rotate this with my finger, and you're gonna see that the TPS essentially reads backwards. And while that is relatively okay because you can set it up in the software, it's also not right. So what I'm going to do is, that tells me that the 5 volt and signal ground wires are inverted, so we're gonna swap those around. All right, so I swapped them out and I tested them off camera. So we've got blue white goes into our A pin, yellow red goes to our B pin, and finally blue red goes into our C pin. So we'll go ahead and start hooking this all up. Okay, so here we are, my Ryobi soldering station. Absolutely love this thing because it runs off of battery power. Anyways, so I threw a little bit of solder on it. The reason is that the gauge wiring is a little bit on the small side, so I went ahead and just hit it with a little bit of soldering just so we know that it's gonna have a good connection. And then I'm gonna go in and crimp the isolators in, and we should be ready to rock. All right, so we tested it again. I rotated it off screen, but the fuel tech is happy, so I'm gonna actually go and install the TPS itself now. All right, so the TPS is done. For those who are not familiar with standalone ECUs, like on factory cars, you actually have to put a meter on this and then check for it to make sure that, you know, it's within the parameters. On standalone, it doesn't really care, in the sense that we just calibrate in the software. So we just basically tell the car, or we tell the ECU that, you know, this is us off the throttle, and then you just step it wide open throttle, and you say this is wide open throttle, and then you're basically done. So this side is done, and we'll calibrate it here shortly once we start doing some other things that we've got to take care of first, but that is the gist of it. Okay, so you guys are probably wondering why the trigger wheel is taped up. So I tried to solder this earlier and the solder would not stick to it. It makes sense, it's steel. Steel, you need like a really aggressive rosin, which I don't have. So what I'm going to try to do is JB Weld. JB Weld is sandable. This is an optical sensor, so it does not have any like magnetic need, I suppose you could say. So there's no need for that. So we're just going to try to fill in 2 holes. And so what I ended up doing was I took tape. This is the non-sticky side though that's facing this, and so hopefully I should be able to put the JB Weld here and then just let it fully cure, and then in a couple hours take it out of the tape, and then hopefully I'll be able to sand it down and then get it all straight again. So I guess we will try this and hope for the best. So I will JB Weld this up, let it cure, and then go from there. Alright, so I have my helping hands just kind of holding it down there. So hopefully this cures, and I tried to use like the least amount possible. Just like 2 little dabs of it. So we'll let it cure, hopefully it smooths out on its own a little bit, and then we'll hit it on our belt sander. Alright, so on the Z31 we got to make since we're using a IGN1A coil to the stock distributor, we got to make a new wire. So I'm probably doing something that I haven't done in probably about like 10 years now. So you need a set of spark plug wire crimpers, And so this exterior one is to clamp the end on, and this is actually just to strip the wire. So what you got to do is you have to figure out which ends you want that's going to fit inside of the distributor cap or your coil or whatever the case may be. This one seems to fit pretty good. Plus it's a 90, but it does not fit. But it won't fit over this, so that's not going to work. This one, on the other hand, fits pretty snug right there. But this end right here doesn't seem like it's going to fit into the distributor cap because it's too far recessed. It's too far recessed in there. So we're probably just going to go with a straight one. Straight one fits pretty good. And the boot sits good as well. So what I'm going to do first is cut the wire. So now it's stripped. We're going to strip this very lightly to expose just the white. You basically will use these crimpers again, just don't squeeze them all the way down. And you see this is a little long, and the reason why that is because it needs to fold over. Okay, so now you see that I've pulled off some of the insulation, and we're just going to fold this guy over, and then we're going to measure it. Okay, so now that the little fuse looking end is folded over, it's a little bit too long, so we're going to have to trim that up a little bit, and we'll do that with the wire cutters. So I like to put it in, and I'll basically pre-bend it, and the reason why I do that is just you don't need two hands you're going to need two hands to hold everything until you drop it all. Alright, now that you picked it back up, you're just going to slide the wire in, and that little fuse looking area is going to be laying on the back side of that. So it's going to be closer to the bottom. Okay, I went ahead and pulled it out of the crimper so you guys can get like a better idea of how everything looks. You can see that the fuse looking area is backwards, facing the back towards the metal, and then I'll go ahead and I'll crimp it. Okay, so there it is, crimped. Nothing special there. It's not going anywhere. So that's it. We're going to put the boot over it and then stick it on. Alright, so the boot is on. The insert is in. And now we just plug it into our distributor cap. Make sure it's nice and seated. And there you go. So now we have a custom wire for a IGN 1A coil to a Z31 distributor. So that's that. Alright, my low-tech patch here hopefully will work. I'm going to clean it up. This tooth here has a little bit of residue in it, so we'll try to hit that on the belt sander real quick, and then hopefully that can straighten out and it's good to go.